Okay, Brian, you say that. Good evening and welcome to Cape to CAIRO. My name is Brian and I am with
Nat.
Welcome to our show. This is the Pulse. And I am with
Nat.
Welcome to our show. This is the Pulse. And I am with
Nat.
Welcome to our show. This is the Pulse. And welcome to Cape to CAIRO. My name is Brian.
And I'm Nat.
And this is The Pulse. This is Cape to CAIRO. And our mission and our job here on the New Black Network is very simple. We just want to connect Africa. We just want to connect the diaspora. And when we say the diaspora, we're talking about everybody of color from the Caribbean all the way through to the Americas. Anyone and everyone is welcome to join in the party as we discuss everything and anything to do with the African continent and to do with us outside the African continent that are in the diaspora, how we certain things affecting us, how do we deal with certain things, all those sort of conversations. That's what we are here for. Natasha?
Yes.
Oh, things have been spicy and happening in South Africa.
Oh, okay. Go on. We're starting from the tip of the continent.
Tip of the continent, right. We've all seen what's been going on in South Africa at the moment, where, again, there's been a rise of, how can we best put it? There's been a rise of people not very happy about the immigration situation that is in South Africa.
Yeah.
I'm very curious as to, do the ongoings in South Africa really hurt the African unity dream? Is African unity a thing based on what's going on? What are your thoughts on that?
So I think it's a very interesting, I mean, the whole migration thing with South Africa is very interesting. I say interesting because the truth is that there are many truths, right? And I was actually thinking about juxtaposing this like with the UK, right, where we are at the moment, and thinking about, the public services that we use, because obviously in South Africa that's, part of the gripe that, in hospitals or, we're not getting jobs. And I saw something recently where there were some traders, right, who were basically, I think they have corner shops. I forgot what they call them in South Africa, right?
Spaza shops.
But basically they had these like Chinese, I don't know if they're Chinese South Africans, there's Pakistanis who own the shops, and apparently they were being sort of questioned about who they employ. Yeah. And I just thought, this is very, very interesting, because the common denominator is always like the black migrant, right? That no one sort of has a gripe with the European migrant who is in Cape Town, who's overstayed their visa. No one seems to have a gripe with, and it was, the irony was just there. It was like, you guys have summoned all these business owners who are like Pakistani, Somali. Obviously, maybe the Somalis were not getting the grace, but, the Chinese, and you're telling them, don't employ foreigners. I'm like, but these guys are foreigners as well. But like I said, I think we can't deny the fact that, yes, South Africa does have pressure because of, it's the, I don't know if there's such a thing as a South African dream, right? People come from all parts of the continent to go to South Africa. But yeah, I don't know what the answer is. But clearly something needs to happen, because we'll kind of keep having these conversations, and we know that unfortunately sometimes the expression then becomes violent, and there's people lose their lives, but I don't know what do you think?
I think it's a trifactor of having economic issues right across the African continent. It's also an infrastructure issue, and it's also a human rights issue. For me, that's a trifactor in the sense that when you look at the infrastructure in South Africa, it hasn't vastly improved or developed much over the past 30 years after apartheid. Of course, there'll always be UN structures. We're not denying that.
Yeah.
But in terms of what the population demands and what has been, there's been a bit of a lag in that. And then the human rights issues is some people are generally running away from war situations. So what do you do about that? Then you add the little element of, if it's a human rights issue, what is the equivalent, I suppose, of the Home Office doing? What's the Minister of Home Affairs doing towards it? How are they documenting everybody? How are they making this work? So it's just a case of those three are interlinked. Therefore, this is why you've got nuance right across the conversation, and you've got nuance right across the divide. But I'm very keen for people to join us straight away, give us a call, join our Discord server, have a conversation with us. Tell us exactly what you think. What does this mean for the African dream? Is a united Africa something that we can look forward to? Let us know, how does the rest of the African continent react to what's going on in South Africa? So it'll be very interesting to hear from you. Again, we've got the lines there, so give us a shout.
And I think social media has sort of, I guess, added a dimension to it, right? Because, like I was saying, all these things that I was referencing, like I saw them on social media, and I saw them on social media of of people who, most of them probably like in the UK, but who are not South African, right? And I think there was this perception of like, oh, like what is going on in South Africa? Like this is weird or whatever, and not to sort of lower the tone. Like someone was like, oh, do you guys know that South Africans have like a term for people who marry like non-South Africans, right? And I mean, it's not funny, but I saw that and I just thought, oh my God, the internet, like there are no secrets. People were just like, and I was like, oh my goodness. So I think it's a thing that we can't solve, but maybe I'm moving away from sort of like the continent, but I think it's still related, right? Because I always think about when you meet people from, obviously we're talking about South Africa, right?
Yeah.
When you meet them outside of South Africa and you're all like foreigners.
And that's a good point,
right?
I'm interested to hear from South Africans that are outside South Africa. How do they feel now that, to a certain extent, they are foreigners? But of course, the foreign aspect is very different now, right? Because it's you're here legally. It's a different conversation. We'll get into the obviously other bits, but please go.
No. Because it's always very interesting because naturally, obviously, like I'm from Zimbabwe, right? I'm Southern Africa, so there is some shared culture. So sometimes you kind of get on with South Africa, and I think it allows them to be like, oh, Zimbabweans are cool, and a lot of like Zimbabweans have been outside, like abroad for a very long time, right? So we kind of know our way around. So it's just a very interesting dynamic. And it also, I saw something on social media, right, where someone she's South African, but she's in Germany, right? So she shared the story where, she was socializing, right? It was a group. And then someone was like, oh my God, you're South African. So-and-so's fiance is South African, right? And she said the name of the person was, I forget the name, but it was, a name that you would attribute to another part of the continent. Maybe like a name like, I want to say like Loveness, or something like that, right? So she then goes on to say, she as soon as I heard the story, I was like, oh, I know where this is going, right? And then she tells the story how, everyone is like, oh, so-and-so is South African. Oh, we can't wait for you guys to like see each other, whatever, right? And then this person, gets to this party or whatever, right? And then everyone is just like, yeah, you guys should meet. You're South African. So apparently, they meet, and then she's like, oh, you're from South Africa. She's like, I'm from South Africa. She's like, oh, I'm from Joburg. And then she's like, yeah, I'm from Joburg as well, right? Which part? But anyway, long story short, this girl probably was not South African, right? So, she left the party, and this person says, they never saw them again. And they were now sharing the story because they'd seen this person like after 7 years at a random place, right? But then I was listening to the story, and everyone in the comments was like, oh, yeah, most likely Zimbabweans or Ugandans or, Zambia, they're saying, oh, I don't know why these people are claiming that they're South African. And then I was thinking, of course, you can kind of look at it at face value and be like, why would you claim to be South African? But I think sometimes people don't understand the burden that you may have having a label of a certain country, right? It actually, not that you should deny where you're from, right? But sometimes if, think about it, like I said, I'm Zimbabwean, like 20 plus years ago, if you say Zimbabwe, everyone will be like, oh my God, what do you think about the farm invasions? Do you know what I mean? And sometimes you don't want to have that conversation, right? You don't want to have that political conversation. And I can almost understand some people who were just like, oh, it's too long for me saying I'm South African. Not even in a, I hate my country, but it's just because sometimes you don't have the privilege to fully stand in, this is where I'm from, because of the strength and the fortitude that you now have to kind of get into in-depth discussions that you know very little about. I know I'm veering off a little bit here, but I think it's an important point. Because sometimes there's an unsaid hierarchy of this is, I'm this African, and it even happens with and hopefully with time we'll get people coming, calling in. It even happens with I don't even want to say where, but maybe our friends who are West African, because they've been here for a very long time, right? They've got roots here. So sometimes you kind of get that oh, these are newer migrants. But yeah, like I said, I feel like I'm veering off, but I hope it's making sense.
I hear you. I think it also happens with a few of the island nations where being from Jamaica has a little bit of gravitas sometimes, some people would say.
Exactly.
Some people would say in some certain corners. But here we are. But I think the most important part that we need to sort of think about as we go on in the conversation and the topic is essentially looking from the outside in. How does that make you feel as a person? Do you look at that and think, I'm in America, for example, I'm an American, I wanted to invest in South Africa, I don't want to invest there anymore. I'm a black British guy that wanted to invest in South Africa, buy property. Does it still make you want to do that? Do you feel maybe this is not the opportunity for you to do that? I'm just very intrigued and interested in how people process those thoughts, because I think you speak of social media, that forms a lot of how we perceive the world nowadays, whether we like it or not, right or wrongly. Is there a problem with undocumented migrants in South Africa? 100% there is a problem. Now, do some of them unfortunately go on to commit crimes? Of course they do, because poverty mixed with desperation will always breed problems in any setting and any situation. But now the problem is the question is then how do you go on to deal with that? Is it now down to you as an individual to go and ask somebody, where are your papers? This blueprint is not new. This is not a new thing that we're looking at and seeing here. We've seen this way over and over in different aspects of, or in different economies and in different countries. We look even our situation here in the UK with Brexit, even with reform right now. At one point with the British National Party, BNP. Right? So are we saying those guys then also have a right to stop you in the middle of the street and say, you don't have papers. Where are your papers? Show me your papers. It's the same thing that's happening in Donald Trump's America at the moment.
Yeah.
Right? Is that does somebody who is strongly MAGA aligned have the right to stop you and say you look foreign? Do you have papers? And I think if we're not very careful, that's a very, very serious slippery slope that we are trying to climb, not only as a continent, but as a people in general. Because at what point do you look at somebody within a very, within a group of black people and say, you are different?
Yeah.
You're not the right kind of black that I'm looking at.
But talking about travel, right, and like restrictions with travel, I believe it was Ghana, right, who announced that African countries don't need visas, right? And I thought that was like amazing, right? Because one of the issues has always been like inter-country travel within the continent, right? And, you know, maybe Ghana has its own sort of like set of opportunities and challenges, but I don't think them sort of like opening up their borders mean that they're all of a sudden going to have like an influx of people who are, you know, just like illegally sort of like, you know, overstaying or whatever the case may be. And I thought, okay, that is not to say that every African country should adopt that, right? But I was like, that's the spirit, right? Because we already, like, if you have an African passport, it's already difficult to access, you know, other places outside of the continent. So yeah, I just thought I thought that was interesting. But again, not to obviously Ghana, South Africa, those are very, very different countries. But I think that's a sort of interesting way to look at it, because I think in South Africa, I could be wrong. I feel like there was a time, or maybe it still is, where they not relaxed the rules, but they were like these temporary sort of like working visas and stuff like that. And actually people were like going in and out properly without any issues, because they knew that, okay, I could go and work seasonally and I could then sort of like go back. So I think that there's something to be said about that sort of, you know, what Ghana's doing. And then even if you see like with Ghana and, you know, the, what do they call it? Like the return and, you know, attracting the diaspora. They don't call it Dirty December, right? No, Dirty December is...
It is Dirty December.
It's Ghana?
Yeah, I think it is,
yeah. Oh, yeah, because Ghana is Dirty December. South Africa is... Get December. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And Nigeria is Dirty December, right?
I think so, yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. But obviously you see like literally like after like Christmas, like all the celebrities are in Ghana. Not to say that is not without its problems, you know, because I've seen people talking about, you know, basically you have people come in, right? And they are sort of concentrated within like particular areas, right, of Accra or whatever the case is. And there's an issue with, I guess, in terms of spending, you know, like if you're foreign, you're not going to like venture out. Yeah. So what happens is, you know, those who can sort of like muscle out, like your local traders who, you know, on a normal day would be maybe selling on that street. So there's an issue with that as well, that actually, yes, it's a good thing that you're having visitors, you're having foreigners coming in, but the money is not cascading down. So those are like real issues, but I don't think the answer is to say, oh, then we shouldn't have people, you know, like visiting. So I've always thought, you know, that the Ghana case study is interesting, but you know what, there may be people, I know like some friends of mine who are Ghanaian, like they'll be like, oh, this government, they're all, like there's no one that I know who's happy with what their government is doing. Everyone is just like, no, this is bad, and I'm just like, yeah.
I think you raise a very good point in that travel is something that's not very overly encouraged within the continent.
Yeah.
And as such, we don't get to realize the similarities that we have. And I think really just goes back to the unfortunate issue, which is the economic issue, right? Is that if there's only one plane that will go from, I don't know, somewhere to Lubumbashi in Congo, and there's just one that goes once a day, once every 2-3 days, and it's costing you £600 to get there. It's very out of reach for a lot of people.
Yeah.
You get on a bus, it's going to be a 24-hour non-stop bus journey, sometimes riddled with potholes.
Yeah.
That's the unfortunate case. Do you really then want to spend that time traveling? Not necessarily, no. So I think maybe that's something that with all the economic benefits that certain countries might get with opening their borders is something that we can look into across the continent. Because once people start traveling, then it reduces the concentration of people being in one area. Because if I then move to South Africa, I'm more happy with it. I can then go into Botswana, then move on and live somewhere else. And migration will always happen, whether people like it or not. That's something that's part of life. It's been since human beings started walking on Earth barefoot. So it's not a new phenomena that all of a sudden today, when you talk about moving from A, B to C, everyone's like, oh my gosh, why are you going there? It's like, no, people have the right to move if they wish to. No one is bound by lines that we randomly drew up on a map at one point. Well, people drew them up for us anyway, but that's another topic altogether. But I think that's very important for us to travel and fix that interconnection.
Yeah.
Not only from a social aspect, but when you look at the transport network, when you look at the trading network, that's something that I think we could benefit from fixing right across the continent.
But so I have a maybe it's provocative, right? Do you think that there's a sort of not a danger, right? Do you think sometimes, especially Africans in the diaspora, we kind of end up like not being armchair critics, right? But, we've got all these lofty, ideas that are quite theoretical. And, you've had the space to, maybe study the system that where you're in now. And, because sometimes people push back, right? And sort of say, well, you're not on the ground, right? Yeah. I know that's a saying that I hear a lot, like if you're from Zimbabwe, especially, you're not on the ground. So it's kind of like, do you think that there is a space? I mean, I think we agree that there is, which is why we're doing this, right? For, I guess, discourse when you're not on the ground.
Oh boy. If you are just joining us, we're live now here on The Pulse.
Yeah.
The New Black Network. And we are Cape to Cairo. And our job in this world, I think, is to connect all parts of Africa as much as we can and have the conversations that we are seeking from a diaspora perspective, being on the ground everywhere and anything to do with people of color right across the world. I'm laughing because I am very I'm very intrigued by that question. I think, listen, we all have space to contribute one way or another. How you contribute into that space, I don't think anyone has got the right to tell you how you should and how you can and when you should. Because you look at a lot of our countries right now, the amount of money coming in from people that are in the diaspora is a whole economy on its own. Right? If you look across from all the way from Egypt, all the way to Malawi, Congo, straight down to South Africa, people are sending billions of dollars a day to keep everyone and everything moving in its own way. So I think with just that regard on its own, before we even talk about birthright, if there's such a thing, before we even talk about, investments and all that, I think just that on its own gives anyone the opportunity and the right to have a conversation and say, it might be a pipe dream. Certainly it might be. But Maybe your pipe dream can inspire the next leader to change something. It's very possible. Call me a dreamer. That's possible.
Yeah.
That's how I see it.
No, I think that's fair. I think you make a good argument, right? Like in terms of just, and it's not you don't have to like send money back home to be able to say something, right? But you are right. Like there are some countries that if you literally look at, the contributions that their diaspora makes, like it's like
insane.
without it like the whole economy would just fall through, right? So yeah, no.
I just think, we're just at a point now where essentially we also need to start thinking beyond just, I know this is happening, of course, across the continent, but we've got to start thinking, even when you look at the Caribbean, we've got to start thinking beyond just sending money for vibes. Like, send money, people have bought whatever they need to sustain themselves. But we've got to start thinking of it as an economy now. Right? How do we then do A, B, C, and D? How then do we have a community sort of get together that can set up a road network, that can sort this up, can set up a consortium that can do A, B, C, and D? We've just, I think, got to start thinking more in that mindset. Because over the year, if you look at the amount of money that some people would have pulled out from their pocket just to send home, and some of it is just,
it's
being,
really,
let's just say a few beers are being bought for vibes. If you put it all together, the amount of money that you're taking out of your pocket, it's a few thousand sometimes. And that few thousand can, if you bring it together individually, collectively rather, it can help and do something.
No, I agree.
Now, we're together in this one. Now, I think we'll take a little break for about a couple of minutes. And after our break, we'll then proceed to hear more of your thoughts and start getting you guys involved. The number to call is 0203 8787 We are live on the Pulse, and we'll be back in a couple of minutes.
Do-do-do-do.
Well, I think we're still live. I don't think Brent has cut it off.
Producer has gone on a break, clearly. Our producer has gone on a break.
Did you? Okay, let me get a drink.
Good morning, wonderful people. We are back. The beacon is here. The light is shining, man. I hope everyone is well. I hope everyone enjoyed the previous episode. When I say previous episode, to be fair, I was actually referring to TDA. We had a very interesting and controversial, somewhat controversial conversation about blackness and should it be litigated? You know what I'm saying? Should somebody ever in existence be able to question your blackness? You know what I'm saying? Is there criteria for blackness? So that was part of that conversation. And that's always going to be part of the wider conversation, to be fair. Because so many things are decided upon because of people's groupings, because of their community, because of the different cohorts that we all fall into as human beings. And blackness is definitely something that's, for how many years now? I don't know, for the last few hundred years now, has been a controversial cohort, as many things are unique to us. Many experiences as human beings are unique to black folk. And that is very, very evident here in the UK. It's evident in America, of course, throughout the globe. But as we're here in the UK, we're going to talk about things pertaining to us in the UK. Like I said, good afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone is well. You can call up the Discord if you want to talk. But this is not going to be a very long show. But I do want to get to the crux of it, which is about voting. As you guys know, we've got the local elections today. So the question is, why are you not voting? Because I know a lot of you are not voting. You know what I'm saying? And I want to know why. Is it because you don't feel like there's any need to vote because it's not going to do anything? Is it because maybe you're just busy with work and it's just inconvenient? Because that's, for me, that's one of the biggest things, you know. It's very inconvenient. If you don't have the time, you've got a family, you've got to sort out the kids, you've got to do the school run. You can't do it in the morning. Then you got to make your way from there to work. Then you got to get back in time. You know what I'm saying? To pick up the kids maybe, look after the kids. And it's not really convenient. Should it be a weekend thing? I don't know, man. Do you feel like maybe this is all planned? Or do you feel like this is just one of those legacy things that just need some reform? You know what I'm saying? Pardon the use of the word reform. But I do want to ask you guys that question, man. And if you are voting, who are you voting for? You know what I'm saying? Don't be shy. You know what I'm saying? Jump in the chat, please. But I can't see the chat on the screen. But yeah, I want to know what everyone's saying. I want to hear everyone's opinions on voting. And we've been hearing it for the longest while now that I'm not saying the most important, but one of the biggest things that go into how we live our lives is basically how we vote locally. And I think there's a lot of truth to that. But I do think that as much as we vote locally, a lot of our decisions is made nationally, if that makes sense. So we may not vote locally for Labour, for instance, because we don't think Labour as a party is doing well in government. Do you know what I'm saying? Or we may vote for this particular party because we think X, Y, Z. So I want to just gauge where everyone's thinking is. Big up Maggie, first one in the chat. You know what I'm saying? She honoured her her commitment to come into this conversation and join our chat. Big up Maggie, one of the day ones from TDA. But yeah, I want to ask a question, man. Do local elections really matter, man? Or do you guys just treat local elections as minor? If this was a national election now, a general election, would you make the time? Would you make the time to go and vote? If this was just, I don't know, mayoral elections, would you also do the same? Because again, we spoke about this in the very last episode of the Post on Monday, I believe, or Tuesday, that when it came to voting for the London mayor, less than 40% of people turned up. 40% of eligible voters turned up to vote. 40%. That 60% you could have chosen whoever the hell you wanted to be in power. Sadiq Khan didn't have to be there. All the other people didn't have to be losers. You know what I'm saying? This is not me saying, oh, there wouldn't have been more people voting for Sadiq Khan. But it just makes me think, like, why are we, I don't know, wasting our votes? Why do we not take it seriously? And then why do we also complain? Or are you one of those who are consistent, who won't vote and won't complain? You know what I'm saying? It just accepts that this is the reality and that no leaders actually voted for. There is no democracy. All of them are installed. Is that your opinion? It's funny though how I don't know, this just popped into my head. When a monarch passes away or there's some huge event that occurs, I can't remember the nature of the events, but let's just take when Queen Elizabeth II passed away. You just had all the previous sitting prime ministers in this country, all they sat together. I'm not saying that they shouldn't be sat together, but just everyone just was together. You see it in America as well. All the previous presidents. To be fair, I think the only time we've ever seen some sort of hostility was when I believe Michelle Obama didn't want to sit anywhere near Donald Trump, if I'm not mistaken. Something like that. Somebody can corroborate that or correct me. Was it Michelle Obama or was it Kamala Harris? It was like, nah, I'm not sitting next to this guy. But typically, everyone just gets along. Everyone knows how to be professional, just sits together. Is this just part?
Good evening. Welcome back to CAIRO. Now we're having our conversation. My name is Brian.
I'm Nat.
We are back, and generally we're having a conversation around the whole South African immigration and that in terms of what does that mean for African unity. And I think, in summary, from yourself, Nat, do you think that kills the African dream in a way about unity being ever a thing where you have a united states of some sort in the continent or EU of some sort?
Yeah, I think we're definitely moving further away from the Kwame Nkrumah dream, right? But I don't think it kills it completely, because I don't think it's, like I say, there are many things that are at play. And I think there's something about the more other countries, maybe surrounding South Africa and beyond, sort of strengthen themselves, it kind of balances things out, right? Because even when you talk about like the African dream, I know we're talking about migration, right? But on the global stage, I think South Africa has really done a good job. Like, if you see like how they've stood up, like for the people in Palestine, right? And then the judicial, international court proceedings that they led, and also even now, I think they've really been vocal about the Iran war, and it's cost them like a seat at the G20, right? But if you look at that, I was looking, there's a clip that I saw from a woman she's in government in West Africa. I forget her name. And she was saying that actually, I guess as a continent, the continent has let South Africa down, because South Africa has sort of, I guess because there isn't any unity, right? Like, when it speaks for South Africa, because that's the limit, that it can do. But there isn't a collective continent response. Like, if they're not being invited to the G20, for example, if there's all these things that are. Obviously there was the issue of the white farmers being allegedly persecuted, which was just a falsehood. Like,
the guys that are crying, I want to go back now.
Exactly, right. And I think South Africa has kind of paid for that, right? Especially like in Trump's world. So I think that there's an opportunity there for more could be done, right? And migration is just part of the story, and not the full story. I think there's so much weakness as a continent that we've displayed on the global stage, that you kind of have outliers like your South Africa, maybe like your Ghana, every now and then. I don't know which other like African country people can sort of say has kind of, kind of risen to the occasion. But yeah, that's what I think.
No, I think I fully agree with you, because when we speak about what's happened with the conversations around Israel that South Africa has had, no other African country came up and said, "Hey, we stand with South Africa." Whatever side of the political divide you're on individually as a human being, fine. But as a collective group, no one has come up and backed South Africa on that. And I guess that really boils down to the biggest problem that there is, right? Which is you have a lot of presidents who are just there for themselves and don't care about anything or anybody else.
Yeah.
That is the problem that you have, because you can say whatever you want to say, whether President X is being placed there by the UK or whatever.
Yeah.
But surely there's got to be a point, if he had a bit of humanness in him, he'd be able to build a hospital, build a school, do something. Right? And this is where the problem comes in.
Yeah.
You're looking at a situation where X country has failed to build their infrastructure, has failed the economy. Therefore, individual moves to South Africa. South Africa has structures, but again, not the most robust structures in the world.
Yeah.
Therefore, X individual slips under the net. And when
Yeah.
X individual slips under the net, whose problem is that? That becomes government problem. That becomes an infrastructure problem.
Yeah.
Now, when X individual multiplies, plus local population multiplies, plus the city multiplies, and government doesn't build infrastructure,
Yeah.
then you have the problems we have. Again, huge blueprint. For anyone that lives in the UK, you will know what happened during Brexit time. Boris Johnson decided to close the fire stations, police stations. He closed a lot of hospitals and A&Es.
Yeah.
Reduced budgets for councils and stripped everything back.
Yeah.
Councils decided to take rubbish once every 2 weeks instead of
Yeah.
every week, right? Then all of a sudden, when those pressures were starting to be, people are starting to feel those pressures.
Yeah.
Nurses are no longer being trained for free. You could do a nursing degree virtually for free without. Obviously, you have to do a lot of long hours as a student at the hospital.
Yeah.
But in general, you didn't pay for your degree, right? All of a sudden, that's taken away. There's a shortage of nurses. There's a shortage of doctors.
Yeah.
Oh, guess what? It's the immigrants' fault.
Yeah.
The problem is the infrastructure. No one has taken time to build that infrastructure that can accommodate a population that is growing. Because if immigrant didn't come from X country, somebody would have moved from a different county, from a different province to go and live in the city, because that's how cities grow.
Yeah.
A city doesn't grow because all of a sudden people within the city have decided to pop 50 babies.
Yeah.
The city grows because people are actually migrating from different provinces and different towns and different villages to come and live into that city or work in that city.
Yeah.
Because they see bigger opportunity.
But there's a culprit here who's not being like mentioned.
Who's that?
Colonialism. Like we are. Obviously, that's a topic for another day.
That's another thing.
But like, especially like if you look at, I mean, obviously like the British, the French, the way they colonized and pillaged resources, you know, and like even if you look at France and the sort of like weird colonial relationship that it still has with, you know, its previous colonies, where it's very much involved in a lot of what's happening. I think that there's something to be said about that, and the fact that, you know, a lot of these African countries still had to, you know, get into debt, right? Like IMF and stuff like that. It's like, well, actually, as part of the whole sort of like colonialism, you know, what's the word where you try and restore something, and I'm failing to sort of find the word, because that was like an offense, right? When you try and make it right, like one of the things should have been like debts should be wiped away. Even if you look at Haiti, obviously that's not on the continent, but, you know, very similar story. So I think there's a deep dive to be done around that, and the fact that there's a system, this westernized system, right, that's been imposed on people who come from different kingdoms and different ways of doing things, you know what I mean? And some of these administrative things that are like Western concepts, which are helpful for like managing, you know, Western societies, don't necessarily translate to like the African continent. So I think there is something there, right, about, and actually, if I'm not mistaken, I feel like the African Union did something about, they wanted to claim compensation for slavery. Do you remember that?
Yeah, there was something along those lines, but yeah, how do the reparations look is another conversation altogether.
Yeah, which was interesting because then you had the descendants of slaves in America sort of saying, why are the Africans trying to claim? Why are the Africans trying to claim?
Oh,
because
good
you
Lord.
guys, then it kind of gets into the diaspora wars. But it's always so interesting to me because a lot of these things, like it just ends up being conversations about black people against black people. You know what I mean? And it's
Yeah.
like, there's something here because, people are celebrating independence like, 60 years, 50 years. And if you think about it, that's like within a generation. So actually, it would take more than a generation to kind of right those wrongs. But I think it's I think it's interesting, and there's more, obviously, as we sort of like do this show over the coming weeks and stuff. Like, we'll deep dive into some of these things and deep dive into some of these countries and some of their histories.
Yep.
That are not always told. So I'm really looking forward to it, so that it can be a learning as well. So if any of you guys and would love to kind of have you on, especially like if you're around London. But I really want to use this as a way to kind of educate ourselves just about the continent and sort of increase our understanding. But yeah. And
I'll stand with it because I say, as much as colonization is terrible and we still feel the ramifications of it, it shouldn't excuse the vast amount of corruption and the vast amount of inequality that people are facing just because someone decided, I'm going to keep the X billion that's coming to the country and keep it for myself. But I always say this, that as Southern Africans, we had it easy in comparison to what the French and the Belgians did.
Oh, gosh.
But the French story continues to this day because you look at some of the success that some of the sort of West Africans, French West Africans have gone on to have in in France.
Okay.
It's a very interesting story because some have gone on to actually have very sort of well-off careers and are doing very well within the French, within France in general.
Wait,
and
no.
Speak of your friend as well.
Let's speak about that, because I'd be interested in I'm now thinking of future topics because it's interesting that you're saying that they are successful because my 100 without evidence, right, has always been that I think Africans, or basically the black people in France, and most of them are Africans, right? I don't think it's as I don't think opportunity is as much as, say, in the UK. I mean, the UK has its own issues, right? Because I remember, I used to have a guy. I think he was he from Benin? I forget, right? But he was he lived in France and he was working here, and I remember he was telling me, he was like, he couldn't get like an office job in France for. He tried, so he was like, that's why a lot of people will move to the UK because at least you kind of have opportunity. But I do agree with you that obviously look at their football club, football team, right? Because once you have technical skill, you can't you can't deny it. And you were saying my friend, Fali Ipupa. I hope I'm saying his name right. I feel like it's not coming out right from my tiles. So you guys, let me know. I thought it was so interesting. I think he's from Congo, right? And so he's made history. He's sold out the Stade de France arena.
Yep.
I think for 2 nights, two nights plus, which is a big, that is a big arena. And I was just wow, it's it's so amazing. I'm always so fascinated, especially just by, I guess, just Congolese culture, Congolese people, and I think especially for that to happen in France, I think it just says something. So and to me it also speaks to just, it's so unfortunate that there's such a disconnect. Again, maybe it's just me, but I feel like there's such a disconnect depending on who colonized us. Do you know what I mean? Which is so bizarre. Bizarre. It's kind of like, even if you look at, like I said, I told you guys, like, I was born in Zimbabwe, right? One of our neighboring countries in Zimbabwe is Mozambique, right? But it's a Portuguese, it was colonized by Portugal. So it's Portuguese speaking. But because of that, there kind of always feels like there's a disconnect.
Even Angola is the same concept there.
Yeah,
it
so
just feels like
Mozambicans and Angolans kind of like get on, but they're quite far from each other, right? Not far, but there's countries between them. But we just get, and I'm like, that is so bizarre.
Wild.
That is so bizarre. So, and yeah, I guess I started speaking about the, moved on from just like, opportunities in France, but talking about Fally Ipupa. And I thought, oh my God, that is amazing. So kudos. And I'm sure there's loads of like Congolese people who are like making the track to Paris to see the show. Oh, that's probably another thing, right? That actually like there's probably a lot of people traveling from like Belgium, from the UK, Ireland, and wherever to go and see the show. So I was just like, oh, that's our African star of the week. That's our African star of the week. But yeah, and also, I guess kind of, I guess you guys are kind of seeing a theme here. Brian is the very serious one, and I come and lower the tone.
Serious one. Hey, yo.
But another thing I was thinking, and maybe this is not in your wheelhouse. This week there was the Met. Yeah. So this is the opportunity for us non-fashion people to be like fashion critics, at the comfort of our own home, like looking at all the pictures and be like, this isn't on theme. This isn't on theme. So I did that this year, like without a fail. I was like, nah. But what was so interesting to me, right? So the theme was like fashion is art. But what was very, very interesting to me was that I was looking at that and I was thinking to myself, you know what? I've seen better designs from Nigerian designers. I don't know if you know.
Oh, yeah.
Like, Nigerian designers are next level. So it's the first time I was kind of like, wow, actually, these people have talent. Like, I'm looking at the Met, I'm looking at the costumes, I'm looking at like Beyonce, Rihanna, whoever, and I'm thinking that I'm there, man, I wish like an African, and I'm saying Nigerian especially, obviously other parts of Africa, but I always feel like the designs I see.
Cameroon as well.
Oh, really?
I think Cameroon designers are different.
Wow, I'm not familiar, but yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, and I'm sure like even and I'm just like, okay, it was so interesting to me to like. Obviously, we understand like Afro beats and all these like great continental exports.
Yeah.
No, like even like Amapiano is kind of becoming. But then I was like, oh, like now I'm thinking like, oh, fashion, and I was like, it kind of got me excited because I was like, and for the first time I've always like I was telling one of my friends, I was like, oh, you have to take me to Lagos because I just want to like I want to see the fashion scene because I'm like. Wow, interesting.
Listen, I knew we were onto something in life when I can't remember which brand was it, whether it was Chanel or one of these big major sort of fashion brands.
Yeah.
Were selling a Ghana Must Go Shangani back for like $10,000 or something. Shangani back. Ghana
I
must go.
saw that.
Why are we selling a Ghana must go for £10,000? What are you doing?
Yeah, I saw that, and it's even like the sponge, like to wash, like to bath.
Oh yeah. I see the brown the thing.
Yeah, I forget what like it's like it looks brown and it's made of. I've been seeing it on TikTok shop and people are like, oh, the African sponge, like it's a thing. And the thing is like they sell it for so much, and you're just like, wow. This is this is interesting. I mean, I don't even know how I kind of got to talking about the Med. But I guess another thing, I will stop lowering the tone. This is my final topic so that you can come back with your serious informative. But did you see the story of, look, there's a lion?
Which was that?
Okay, so this comedian, the Zimbabwean comedian.
Oh, Lenmore. Yes, I remember now.
And he went on.
And
there's a podcast called 154. Actually, people say a lot of. I think it's called 154. But anyway, the concept is, I think they kind of try to do what we're doing. Like they try to, I guess, because it's like 54 countries, one voice. Like as in Africa, right? Yeah. Like Africa's 54. So I think they try and sort of like highlight and have guests that are from like African heritage and stuff like that. So he went on their show, and he was it was an interesting interview. I saw a huge chunk of it, right? And then he was talking about, I don't know how they got to talking about the Lion King.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And then, they got to talk about na singwenya yabagitinana ngwenyama. And then, as an aside, I once, which is so embarrassing, at work, at a previous work, I once said to them, oh yeah, I can sing the Lion King thing.
Oh my goodness.
And we're out, and they were like,
after a few sherries,
like, do you want to? And then I was like, and then I was just like, yeah. As soon as I open my mouth, when you start regretting, but you have to like see it through. So I was just like, nah. And like English people are very like, I think they couldn't believe. They were like,
what's happening here?
And I just had to commit to it. But anyway, that's my embarrassing. So thank you, Level M, for that song. I always think about that. But anyway, so he then was telling them, he was like, oh, you know what that song means, right? And then he was like, it means, look, there's a lion. Which, at face value, yes. But it is like a royal, he is like a lion, as in, sometimes like when kings are, getting into a place of like Nancy Ngonyama, you know what I mean? But at face value, yes, look, there's a lion. And then the composer of the song, Lebo M, who's South Africa, guys, South Africans, we're gonna be off your back. Please don't take this personal. He was not happy. It was a bit sad to see. I don't know if you saw any of that online.
Yeah.
And as it stands, like he's suing the comedian for like 27 million, because obviously he's like, oh, you've kind of sullied my work. And I didn't like agree, and it kind of felt like, come on, like everyone knows it's a joke. Like this is your opportunity to do something clever and to reiterate that, yes, literal translation, that's what it means, but the essence of this thing, you know what I mean? It means something more. But I don't know. I just felt like then people they were going back to our first topic because people were like, there's a bit of xenophobia around here. There's a bit of xenophobia because if this guy wasn't Zimbabwean, would you be having an issue? And then they pulled up clips of I'm forgetting the actor, Seth Rogen, right, and whoever saying the same thing, literally saying, the song means look, there's a lion, but this was years ago, and it didn't. So I thought, it's quite interesting because the discussions when you're saying like a unified Africa, right? Although these are like two personalities, they're entertainers, obviously in different fields. One's a comedian, one's a composer, very accomplished composer. But then you're sort of seeing it play out in such an uncomfortable way, like in the headlines. It's just like...
So is it xenophobia or Afrophobia?
Ooh, what's the difference?
Because now with xenophobia, it generally should be against like the whole group that just says you're immigrants, whether you're Chinese, Blackanese, it doesn't matter. You're an immigrant. We don't want you here.
Yeah.
But if it's Afrophobia, then it just boils down to you are from a different part of the continent, and that's what the problem is. And maybe this is what some people are now saying, that when you look deep into it and actually start looking into the base value of it, why they're not marching at a Chinese guy that's out there and essentially has overstayed. Why they're not marching towards a guy from the Netherlands that's overstayed. German. There's a huge German population. Some of them migrated from Namibia into South Africa. And why not looking into them? But why is it specifically with the Africans that are next door to you? So
exactly.
That's the question.
Exactly. See how we tied that together? I mean, what other show is going to start with like big concepts and then like you think the tone is being lowered and then
say no,
it's saved. You know what I mean? What other show is going to do that?
It's not happening.
It's not happening. But so I think we've got 20 plus minutes. But guys, again, this is a new show. We're feeling it out. And I'm so excited because even us discussing, I'm now thinking, we need to do a deep dive on this. Like, I want to do a deep dive on like Congo, and we need to talk about the fashion. Like, we need Congolese people to explain to us.
Never mind moving the waist. Let's talk about your fashion.
Let's talk about the fashions because like people would be like, oh yeah, it's giving Congolese. But then when I was looking at it, I was like, that's actually quite cool. Yeah. And talk about the Met again. Like I said, I am armchair critic. I think there was a year when there was like the theme was like dandy. Listen, I don't even know these things, but. And then people were like, oh my God, that's literally like how like our Congolese uncles dress.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So I was like, oh, like this is actually quite, being quite sort of fashion forward. I've been seeing some headlines. I'll be honest, I haven't sort of like deep dived into like Kenya, and like there's been some violence that's been happening. Apparently they're having it's and I think we're sort of seeing it across the world where young people are frustrated, right? And Kenya has always been, remember the whole Ruto and who was the other guy? There was William Ruto and I'm forgetting. Anyway, but there was a whole thing where like the Kenyan youth, like they don't play. They are rising up and they're telling you what they think, which I think is a good thing.
Phenomenal.
It's so amazing, and I've had the opportunity of like meeting like Kenyan, like especially like who work in the arts, right? And there's something about Kenyans that, to me as a Zimbabwean, I'm like a little bit drawn to them. I don't know, like I think our temperaments are kind of similar, you know. So yeah, I was seeing that and I was like, oh, okay, it's happening. I was like, Kenya has no year to waste. Like they don't rest. It's just like there's always something, and I'm not trivializing it, guys. Like if you know a little bit more about this, please do like share with us, and then we can always pick it up like in a future episode. But yeah, I was looking at that and I was like, okay, this looks interesting.
It's bound to happen in a continent that has the youngest population in the world. It's bound to happen that eventually, bro, how are you 95 years old and trying to be my president and I'm only 18 and you're not doing anything that remotely is helpful towards me? Because some of them, especially across the continent, the laws are a bit weird. You know, they're almost trying to reverse it as much as possible. It's like they're looking at some of the things that are happening in the West and saying, let's try and go back as much as possible into the 1950s.
Yeah.
Because women shouldn't dress like this. When you're in you look at like some of the universities and campus, you can't dress like this. You can't wear a string top. You can't show your belly. You can't. That's happening across a lot of colleges and universities.
Oh, wow.
Especially in Zim. Right? Where they tell you can't dress like that.
Yeah.
What are you wearing a miniskirt for?
Right.
So clearly there's a lot of policing that is happening socially, and now you're saying you want to police me socially, but you can't even feed me, you can't even help me out. So what do you want me to do? And Kenya has been very good for one thing. When you look at all the governments that are just there across our continent, Kenya has been good for being able to have a good separation of powers between the judicial, the army, and the president's office.
Okay.
Where there's a good separation there. And the police, where generally the army wouldn't come out and do nonsense towards its citizens.
Right.
The police have problematic. But again, this is now a new thing where the police is now being infiltrated a little bit more, and they're becoming a bit more uncivil towards people on the street whenever they're demonstrating. And I think that's one of the biggest issues that they have with the current president, where it's like, you're trying to change things, well, at least you're not helping us out. I respect the fact that they do get out there despite, unfortunately, a lot of harm and even in some cases death when they are protesting. But they still will come out next day and do it all over again.
No, that's brave. I just wanted to shout out to the people that are in the YouTube comments. Shout out. So I'll just read out. So Tim's _94 just put like listening emojis. Hey, how are you? And then Muller Bell said yes, he is. I think maybe when we talk about Fali Ipopa, I think maybe we're not saying is he Congolese, I think. And then someone Olua Beck said I love me some Fali. And then Muli Bell said Congolese music is a core childhood memory. Yeah, you know, like the in the morning. Sorry, is that Congolese?
Oh.
You know Kabila.
Oh yes, Kanda Bongo Man.
Kanda Bongo Man, right?
I think so.
Yeah. Okay. And then Olua Beck said African net sponge when we're trying to describe a thing. And then someone said, yo, people them, what's the topic of the show? So that's at DC 1994. Yeah, so we're Cape to CAIRO. This is our debut show. Like I said, we're just feeling, the vibes out. But mainly, we're going to bring you headlines from the African continent, right? We're going to discuss issues about the African continent, from the politics to the culture to entertainment. And, sometimes we'll probably have guests that are coming in. We want to use this space as an opportunity to learn a little bit more about, Africa, and especially with a lot of us who are, in the diaspora, right? Kind of like use this as a platform to kind of, I guess, have a learning of the continent, and people in the continent maybe, listening in and understanding us. And I think the continent is just such a lot of us come from there, whether we engage or we've been there, but yeah, I think there's a lot to uncover, a lot that we never learned about the continent. So hopefully we can use this space as learning, have some laughs, talk about the politics, culture, and so on. So yeah, stay with us. So Thursdays, every other Thursday, Cape to CAIRO will be on here. And then someone said, Alison Lunga said, great episode, can't wait for the next one, thank you. And then Anna Belrain said, hi, I love your show. Oh, thank you guys. It means so much, because this is our first show. And maybe in the comments you can tell us what would you like us to cover, who would you like to see, for us to have on? And there's Discord. So in the channel, you'll see there's a link to the Discord. So if you ever wanted to join in the conversation, you can, and you can actually call in as well. I think the number's on the thing. I think on the YouTube thing. But Brian, maybe you can share the number again, because you.
No, it's there on the YouTube right by the corner.
No, but you've got the 0202. Brian's trying to get away.
It's there by the corner. The number is there. 0203 8787870. That is the number to call in at any time.
Yeah.
Not only just our show, but right across the whole network. If there's any show that's interesting you and you're tuning in, always have that number. Give us a call, join in the fun. And this is for you at the end of the day, because we can talk till the sun come home, but we want you to be part of it.
Exactly. And I'm so excited for this, because Brian and I can talk about this stuff all the time, because maybe just a little bit about us, just 2 minutes, right? For the people that are joining us. You are Brian.
That's it. That's it. Brian, and that's it.
I'm Natasha. My friends call me Nat, so you can too. So I have my own podcast called Chat with Nat, where I talk about any and everything. If you caught the show a little bit earlier, I've said I'm Zimbabwean, so my whole thing is kind of providing a platform for that whole dual experience. And Brian sometimes comes on and we talk about the African headlines and whatever, but obviously we want to kind of expand and talk about the whole continent. And as you can tell, I probably not lower the tone. Let me find another word. Let me not down myself, right? But and then Brian is,
I just like talking.
See,
that's it.
Brian is humble. He's not gonna.
No, stop.
He's okay. So this is where I come in, right?
I just like talking. That's it. I just talk.
No, he he talks very well. So Brian, is really deep into politics and African issues. He provides commentary on Al Jazeera, commentary on is it called the Pulse Nigeria? It's right? Am I right?
Nigerian Info FM, yeah.
Yeah. And
Araya's News Network. So there's a few of them there.
So see, you're underselling yourself. So
there's a few of them.
Do you know what I mean?
They give me a shout here and there.
So Brian, he knows what he's talking about, right? When it comes to that. So so we're just excited for this platform and what the New Black, what the Pulse is building, and we just want to be a part, and hopefully, you guys can stay with us and. Tell us what you want to hear and stuff. I hope I haven't left out any other comments. But yeah. This is where you come in, Brian.
That is funny. That is funny.
This is the.
But yeah, I think we'll be back for another episode on the 21st of this month. And in that episode, we'll then have a deep dive into different conversations that are happening in real time, not only from obviously the political space, but right into the social space as well. It's also important to also add that this conversation is open to everyone in the diaspora, the Caribbean, the Americas.
Yeah.
It's very important because I know a lot of people that are that are from that part of the world are thinking of finding themselves in a way within the African space and how they find themselves in the African space and looking for investment opportunities. So just having a social commentary around it, and hopefully that will help you push you on even more to think, oh, maybe let me go visit, let me go try this and that. That is the main aim of it, really.
Yeah. No, definitely. Oh, another comment saying, very good, guys. Really interesting, informed and informative discussions. You bounce off well with each other in the discussion as well. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, so I've got a little sort of trivia for everyone.
Trivia.
Yeah. Because we're about to end. But I want to see if you'll get it right. What is the capital city of Zambia?
Lusaka.
Well done.
Oh, come on. Give me a little bit more.
Well done! Yes! Yes!
It's got to be a little bit more.
Yes!
Zambia.
What is the capital of Ghana?
Accra.
What is the capital of Nigeria?
Abuja.
Yes. So I don't have the answers. I believe Abuja is the administrative capital.
Yeah.
But I think population-wise, Lagos is
the bigger one. Yeah.
So guys,
This-
in the comments,
This is why I was like, it's the same thing of what is the capital of South Africa.
yeah. What is it? Pretoria is the administrative.
Financial capital. There's
Yeah.
capitals for everything.
Yeah.
Because Parliament is in Cape Town. And then yes, I think, you know what? Yeah, something along them lines.
Yeah. And then another trivia. Ooh. What is... No, I'm not going to do this one. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. Which country has the best jollof?
That's it. This is where we end it. I'm done. I don't want to get into any wars. This is how wars start, small little things like that. Brian said, so I'm coming over to your country because our jollof is better. I'm not doing it.
You're not doing that.
I'm not doing that one. That jollof stuff. All I can say is shout out to the first country that made jollof. That I can say.
Was it Senegal?
Yes. Shout out to Senegal. You're the right people out there. The originators.
Thank you, Senegal. But then we need to have...
Actually, would you say it's Senegal when you really go back into it? Which group, in terms of which tribal group was... They are found in Nigeria as well. I forgot the name. But, shout out to Senegal.
No, shout out to Senegal.
That's
and, we'll forgive
Gambia?
you.
Is it Gambia? No. The first jollof country to make jollof.
I'm not
Gambia?
a jollof connoisseur. I am not a jollof connoisseur.
Shout out to jollof.
I'm not. Or someone has put the Nigerian flag. I know
Shout
the
out to jollof. That's all I'm saying. Shout out to jollof.
Shout out to Jollof. Someone said you're right. I forgot. I wish I'd read it in real time. But yeah. What other trivia, guys? You guys are not putting the answers in the comments. Who is Oh no, let me. Oh, I've got one.
Go on.
I've got one.
Go on.
Which country won the AFCON, the
Listen,
African Cup of
I don't know what
Nations?
I don't know what anyone's going to say. Senegal, innit?
Which country won?
Senegal. Full stop. What happened after that? It's above me now. It's above me now. What happened after that? It's above me now.
Talking about Senegal, you guys need to explain to us, are you guys giving back the trophy?
Don't give it back. What are you giving it back
or
for?
not?
What are you giving it back for? As far as I'm concerned, if the ref says play on and blows the whistle for full time,
Yeah.
the game's done. What happens? What do you mean? Unless they have a replay.
Yeah.
Otherwise, anything in between that is just vibes. Just vibes. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, no. No, I think I'm run out of trivia. But you know what, guys, next time come prepared. I'm going to come with like some trivia for you guys to answer, and you know, this time I don't have any prizes. The prize is just
Vibes.
yeah, just vibes. But yeah, no, I think this has been a good show. Well done, Brian.
It's been fun. Been fine. Really enjoyable.
Yeah.
Thanks for everyone that's tuned in and going to tune in later on.
Yes.
But yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's us done for the day.
No, that's us done for the day. And someone was like, Senegal, please.
Don't stress me.
No, that's us done for the day. So I've been Natasha. My friends call me Nat. You can too.
And I'm Brian, and this has been Cape to Cairo.
Yep.
On the pulse, it's live.
Brian's battery's like, it's not like 9%.
That's for my phone, by the way. Just putting it out there. It's the phone, not me. Yes.
Yes, no, this has been Cape to Cairo. Yeah, the show where we're going to bring you like headlines from the African continent and just African perspectives. And yeah, looking forward to it. And at some point, we're going to deep dive into Cecil Rhodes. He's the one who had the vision of a railway from Cape to Cairo, right?
Granddad says so.
So we have recaptured it.
It's like the N-word.
We've decolonized. We've decolonized that dream, and we're owning it. But yeah, no, guys. Yeah, check us out on Instagram, wherever, and yeah, that's it. I think that's it. It's a wrap.
It's a wrap.
It's a
Have
wrap.
a good night. Look after yourselves.
It's a wrap.
Don't do what I wouldn't do. Bye.
Bye.